Welcome to Great Lives. I'm Daniel. Here, we honor individuals whose journeys shaped history and inspired millions. Their courage, talent, and dedication left a lasting mark across generations. Join us as we revisit their stories from film, music, sports, and culture, celebrating lives that continue to inspire and remain unforgettable. Val Kilmer first caught wide attention with his striking screen presence and natural ease in front of the camera. He quickly stood out in Top Gun, where his portrayal of Iceman brought a cool confidence that audiences still remember. Even early in his career, he showed a rare ability to make characters feel distinct and alive. Versatile performances. Kilmer avoided being boxed into one type of role. In The Doors, he immersed himself completely in the life and music of Jim Morrison, delivering a performance that felt both intense and authentic. He later took on iconic territory again in Batman Forever, offering his own grounded interpretation of a legendary character. Lasting impact. Beyond blockbuster films, Kilmer's career. Robert Mueller served as a U.S. Marine Corps officer during the Vietnam War, where he demonstrated strong commitment and discipline. His time in the military shaped his sense of duty, and he was honored with the Purple Heart and Bronze Star for his service and bravery in combat. FBI career. Mueller later built a long career in law and national security, eventually becoming director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2001. He led the agency through a critical era that included the presidencies of George W. Bush and Barack Obama, focusing on counterterrorism and major security challenges facing the United States. Later work and legacy. After leaving the FBI in 2013, Mueller returned to public service as special counsel at the Department of Justice, leading an investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. His career is widely viewed as one defined. Nedra Talley grew up in New York City, where music surrounded her from an early age. Alongside her cousins, she discovered a shared love for singing and performing, which later shaped her path into music. The Ronettes and Music She became part of the Ronettes, a group known for their bold style and powerful harmonies. Their songs reached wide audiences, earning admiration from fans and fellow artists alike. The group even shared stages with major acts and helped define an era of pop music. Later life and legacy. Later, she stepped away from mainstream fame to focus on faith, family, and a quieter life. She continued expressing herself through music and other work, leaving behind a lasting influence. Michael J. Fox was born in Edmonton, Alberta, in 1961, and raised in a military family that moved frequently before settling in Burnaby, British Columbia. Life in a modest household with 4 siblings taught him discipline, adaptability, and resilience. Though small in stature and often overlooked in school, he discovered something transformative at age 15, acting. On stage, he was no longer the quiet, uncertain teenager. He became expressive, confident, and magnetic. That shift gave him direction. By 16, he had already begun working professionally in Canadian television. His parents worried about stability, but Michael felt no ambiguity. Acting wasn't a phase or hobby, it was a calling he intended to pursue regardless of uncertainty, rejection, or the absence of a safety net. Early struggle. At 18, Michael left Canada for Los Angeles with little money, no industry connections, and a fragile sense of certainty that he belonged in Hollywood. The early years were harsh. He lived in cramped apartments, survived on minimal food, and faced repeated rejection at auditions. Casting directors often dismissed him instantly because of his height or unfamiliar background. Work was inconsistent, and doubt crept in during long nights of financial strain and professional uncertainty. Yet he refused to return home, believing that leaving would mean surrendering the only dream he had ever fully embraced. That persistence, combined with timing and talent, eventually positioned him for the breakthrough that would redefine his life. Rise to fame. In 1982, Michael landed the role of Alex P. Keaton in the sitcom Family Ties. The character, initially secondary, quickly became the heart of the show due to Michael's sharp comedic timing and emotional depth. The series became a national hit, turning him into a household name. Just a few years later, he was cast as Marty McFly in Back to the Future, a film that overcame early skepticism to become a global phenomenon. The role propelled him into international stardom almost overnight. By his mid-20s, he was one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors, balancing television film, and intense production schedules while navigating the pressures of fame at an extraordinary scale. First signs. At the peak of his success, subtle changes began to appear in his body. A faint tremor in his left hand, initially so minor it seemed like fatigue, marked the beginning of something far more serious. During filming in 1990, he noticed stiffness and involuntary movements that did not align with stress or exhaustion. At first, he dismissed them, attributing them to overwork and demanding schedules, but the symptoms persisted and gradually intensified. Daily routines began to feel slightly more difficult, and his body no longer responded with the reliability he once took for granted. Despite growing unease, he continued working, believing rest might resolve what he still hoped was temporary. Diagnosis and silence. After months of medical evaluations, Michael was diagnosed with young-onset Parkinson's disease in 1991 at the age of 29. The condition was progressive and incurable, meaning it would gradually worsen over time. The news reshaped everything he thought he understood about his future. Newly married and a father, he faced an uncertain road ahead. Fearing professional consequences and loss of opportunity, he chose silence. Only a few close people knew the truth. For years, he continued working while carefully concealing symptoms on set, timing medication, hiding tremors, and managing his condition in private. Behind public success, he lived a constant and exhausting effort to appear unaffected. Public revelation. In 1998, after years of secrecy and growing pressure from media speculation, Michael chose to reveal his diagnosis publicly in an interview with Barbara Walters. He disclosed that he had been living with Parkinson's for 7 years. The moment shocked the public, but also reshaped how he was viewed. Instead of retreating, he framed his condition with honesty and perspective, even describing himself as, quote, lucky for the life he had lived and the support he had. The announcement transformed him from a hidden patient into a visible advocate. It marked the beginning of a new chapter where openness replaced concealment and personal struggle became public purpose, legacy, and meaning. Following his disclosure, Michael shifted his focus toward advocacy and research support, becoming one of the most prominent voices in Parkinson's awareness. He continued acting but also built a platform for fundraising and scientific advancement. His approach to illness emphasized resilience without denial, acknowledging hardship while refusing to be defined solely by it. Over time, his foundation contributed significantly to research efforts and public understanding of the disease. His story became larger than fame or performance. It became a narrative about adaptation, purpose, and persistence in the face of progressive loss. Rather than stepping away from life, he reshaped it, demonstrating that meaning can evolve even under the weight of irreversible change.